Welcome everybody to the next episode of the Cannabis Review. I'm delighted to be joined on this episode by Paul Conlin, who's the founder of Greenleaf Cannabis and Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective in New York. How are you keeping today, Patrick?
Doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Delighted to have you on, mate. Can you maybe give everybody a quick overview of your position in the industry and your area of expertise?
Yeah, absolutely. So I right now am employed by a cultivator licensee in New York State to run and operate a cannabis grower showcase, which is a temporary pop-up farmers farmers market style event that occurs in either indoor or outdoor venues throughout upstate New York and in the city. The state government of New York put out this program in order to basically address the problem that was created by the lack of rapid opening of stores, because the uh, dispensaries were supposed to be open a lot more soon. Unfortunately, that did not occur. So they created the Cannabis Grower Showcase model, and I was able to, under the license of my employer and the farm that I work for, Greenleaf Farm, organize one of those grower showcases, actually the first in Manhattan, New York City. So we're up and operational. I'm general manager running day-to-day operations there. My background in the industry is approaching it from more of a nonprofit advocacy side, but being interested in how sort of the equity side of the industry unfolds and how the policy that our regulators write sort of helps accelerate or make an obstruction for those kind of equity questions and scenarios. So I came from Michigan, where there was legalization a few years earlier than New York, and it was not a very equitable distribution of wealth among people who had been growing before legalization and among people who had, really sacrificed or anything to get to the point of legalization. It was really a concentration of profits in the hands of sort of large businesses, corporate consolidated modeled businesses. So I moved to New York with the intention to advocate for more equity in the industry and sort of more tradition and respect of the people who had been sort of paving the way for this process to be so easy, and for us to have all of this cannabis genetic resources to access now that it's legal, and those genetics are worth very much money. So I operate the Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective.
Okay, excellent. And when it comes to the Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective, how many members are involved? Is there a limit of the amount of plants that they all each cultivate? Is all of the flower then all gathered and generated together? What are the basic principles of the collective, and how many people are involved?
Absolutely. So Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective operates a little bit differently from what comes to people's mind when they hear collective. It's a collective of truly businesses. It's a collective of licensed farms for cannabis in New York State. So there have been about 200 or so cannabis cultivators who are licensed through the state process, and those can be a single person, or those can be a business entity. And basically, we started with 9 uh, cultivators, and we had 3 processors, all of whom basically are members in that they have their wares at our location on consignment. They're invited to come operate their own booth in any time they want, but we recommend Saturdays. So it's kind of their opportunity to participate in a retail experience that's a lot closer to a farmer's market than it would be to a like Walmart or any type of sort of corporate grocery store type environment.
It seems to me that New York is primed for an explosion in genetics, and some of these low key cultivators, shall we say,
Mhm.
like almost what happened with beer to a degree in New York, that you had all these individual distilleries open up with their own unique profiles and
Yeah,
formulations. I think New York is well positioned with the different ethnicities in that country to come up with some of the most unique genetics that we're probably going to see in the American market over the coming years.
that's what I hope. Certainly, I mean, That is absolutely a good observation. I would say what happened with craft beer though is that there was decades and decades of corporate consolidation and building massive multi brand companies before there was kind of the upshoot of craft, and the movement of craft has been kind of a boom in the last couple of years. We're hoping to accelerate that with cannabis so that it's not a situation where we have to wait 20, 30, 40, 50 years for all of the big companies to really be done fighting with each other, and the last one left standing starts making room for small craft operations. We're hoping that that can all grow alongside each other at the start of the industry in New York. I do think that New York is a special place with special cannabis history and culture. It's got specific genetics that it's really focused on and enjoyed and liked for a long time, as well as the potential to breed a bunch more. So.
And when it comes to the offering at the Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective, is it edibles or is it just flower? Is there a range of products, or is it people just coming with the best bud that they can cultivate themselves?
Well, yeah, it is a range of product. It is going to be uh, flower, pre rolls, gummies, vapes, infused beverages, concentrates, including resin and rosin, and Rick Simpson oil, or RSO, so which is a full spectrum cannabis extract. So we have kind of the full gambit of products available on the New York legal market.
And when it comes to the beverage side of things, are these people that are creating and developing their own products while outsourcing, let's say, the emulsion technology from an established business? Or what way do you see the beverages going? Because the water solubility and the aluminium and cannabinoids being attracted to each other, do you see that being an issue for a lot of these growers?
I haven't delved that deep into it. I know that the first kind of beverages on the market are mainly collaborations between like a laboratory, like a processing licensee, and between someone else who's got the idea, or it's just kind of done in-house by the processor. So I'm pretty sure that they're kind of abreast of these situations, because the cans look a little bit different sometimes, or sometimes they seem like just aluminum cans, but I know that they have to do that like emulsion technology to get the oil small enough to kind of mix with the water. So.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the sweet spots of the industry, that it looks as if, and I think New York could potentially be well positioned for this, that if there is a dominant couple of white label suppliers of beverages and edibles, it's going to be the brands and the entrepreneurs who can create these brands, who can connect with a specific demographic or audience that will, I think, grow any specific business. So you don't necessarily need to have the most chemistry expertise or production
Yeah.
expertise. Once you can come up with the right brand and the right audience, I think that's where the winners in cannabis are going to be, especially in New York in the coming years.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that those the processors, I've been speaking to people in the industry right now. The processors are in I mean, it's a comfortable position for them because they control the supplies. They have sort of extra leverage on the supply side and the retail side. So whereas we have a lot of cultivators and they're having difficulty getting their product on the shelves, we have we have very few open retail storefronts. So they have no problem kind of deciding what product they want. The cultivators, we have like almost the fewest of, even the ones who are licensed. So and by that I mean they licensed about 250 cultivators, they licensed about 40 processors, and then they licensed about 250 stores, but there was a lawsuit preventing the stores from opening. So we're only looking at about 28 stores in the whole state. So the processors, they get to control what kind of price they buy their products at, their raw flour for processing at, and then they also kind of get to control a little bit about what they sell at, because their processed goods are so valuable and there's only 40 of them, and they're in such high demand that they actually are in a lot less of a dire state than a lot of the other players in our industry right now.
Yeah, hopefully with federal legalization, we kind of get the scenario where the processors are plentiful, because it's now an opportune thing that you could go into as a large company who's not necessarily touching it right now. Because if we look across the board in every consumer packaged good, Mars and Cadbury's don't grow their own cocoa. McDonald's don't have their own farms. They've managed to create a brand that they've been able to translate this into a large market share.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I think these processors are it's only going to get better for them. We'll see.
That's it. So for now, where is the best weed in New York? Is it in one of the boroughs? Is it in Manhattan, in a specific territory in Manhattan? If you were recommending somebody to go get their hands on the best blaze in the city.
Ooh, well, I'd probably tell you to come right down to see us at Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective.
Right.
We have some exceptional farms that we're working with who are from all over the state of New York. They grow between, some of them are full term outdoor, some of them are mixed light greenhouse, some of them are mixed light greenhouse, but converting to do an indoor operation for the next season. So there's kind of every type of preference available. And then also, I would say, that there's definitely some absolute some fire, as we call it, that you can be found in Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective. Especially, I would recommend the haze, because haze is kind of a unique when in Rome situation with New York. I know that it's had sort of lives outside of New York City, but it's found its home here and become a favorite of many for generations. So I would recommend trying
Yeah.
some haze.
And hopefully we get some of the cultivators that have been working in the shadows over the last couple of decades now coming to award-winning ceremonies and being praised for the skill set
Yeah.
that they currently have.
That's why I got in this industry. So that's if I have anything to do with it, hopefully they will be sooner than later.
Excellent. For everybody who's going to New York or anybody who's from New York, Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective.com. The website is below and it'll be available in all good places you're watching and listening to this. What are you hoping to see over the coming 12 to 18 months in New York? Do you want an expansion of the card licenses and the court cases to work themselves out? Do you want a multitude of new retail licenses, regardless of what the applicant's backstory is? Or do you want to see some unique cannabis branding come to the market where you see these homegrown $1 billion companies coming out of New York?
Hmm. I mean, any of the above would be exciting and more exciting than what we've seen in the last, 12 to 18 months with the kind of all the roadblocks and obstacles and constant, um, doubt and questioning that a lot of figures have had with just the lack of clarity about where we're headed. I think that I mean, first and foremost, I'd like the grower showcase program to get extended. I think it's one of the most unique and special creations that New York State has come up with in this cannabis realm. And I think that they aren't even really realizing how special it is and how global of an impact it could have if they put it in the right context and amplified it a little more, because it's one of the main and only direct to consumer retail models for cannabis among any legal state. And it's frankly, I believe the way cannabis should be bought. And um, there's no more fulfilling experience than, standing across the table from a cultivator and actually learning from the source about what you're going to be, enjoying later, in your flower product or your edible or whatever it is. There's someone who put a lot of thought and care and craft behind that and is excited to share that with you. So that's probably the first major I hope I have for the grow for New York. The Grower Showcase program right now is slated to end just at the end of the year, but we really think that the market's not going to be ready for the program to go away, and there's no really good reason to send it away anyways. We also would say, I mean, I would say my other preference, I think that what I want to see happen is the cards who already got licensed. I want to see them get open. I want to see the law as written helping the people it was set out to help. So those are distressed farmers, disabled veterans, people convicted from cannabis in New York, people from communities disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs. And then the last thing is really, I just want to see I want to see the like, just like you said, the true kind of pioneers of this culture and this plant, and the people who are stewards of the plant throughout the time when it was illegal, and still pushing along, breeding and genetics and holding these valuable clones and keeping the lights on and paying the massive power bill and forfeiting friendships and family relationships and just praying that they don't get incarcerated and taking all those risks on for so many years. I want to see them put in a position to succeed and succeed in the highest degree.
Incredible. You're definitely on the right track and in a pole position to have a great viewpoint of how New York is going to explode over the next 5 years. Hopefully I get to meet in person and we can try some of this haze at the Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective that you told me about.
That sounds wonderful. I would love to welcome you in and show you around anytime you're in the city.
Excellent. Again, for anybody who wants to know more about Hell's Kitchen Cannabis Collective, the website is below, and also about Greenleaf New York Cannabis, the website is below as well. For now, thank you very much for taking your time, Patrick, to do this. Very much appreciated.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Until next episode, everybody.